Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Kay, and today I will be reviewing season 1 of Bel-Air. I'm gonna do 2 videos. One video will be my thoughts and everything of what I thought of season 1 of Bel-Air, and then my second video will be the same for season 2. So, y'all know that there's currently a strike going on in Hollywood right now, and so there are a lot of renewals put on pause. A lot of shows have not started production because we're getting closer to fall television, which a lot of the shows that went off in the spring usually come back on in the fall. That ain't the case. And then typically with shows that are on streaming, it already kind of takes longer for the production and the writing and everything. And now that the strike is here, that's going to be the case with the shows on streaming. So I had watched Bel-Air, but I came at the tail end of, I think, the midpoint of season 2. So I had to go back and watch, season 1. So I decided to rewatch season 1 and season 2. And so I'm going to give you my thoughts on Bel-Air. Overall, I think Bel-Air is a good show. Typically, it will be coming out probably in the beginning of 2024. But now I don't know if that's going to happen because of everything that is transpired over the last couple of months. And we don't know how long the strike is going to end. So I'm just going to point out, just give a brief summary of what happened in Bel-Air season 1 and some things that stuck out to me. I'm just going to go ahead and tell y'all right now. Me and Carlton would have had to tussle. I don't blame Will for putting his hands on Carlton because Carlton just was doing a lot in season 1. He was doing a lot. But, okay, so we're going to start from the beginning. In West Philadelphia, I'm just playing. Will basically grew up in West Philly, okay? He had a best friend named Trey. Will and Trey were playing basketball at West Philly High. I'm guessing that's the name of the school. Will was getting all these looks. Of course, West Philly is the hood. Will is being raised by a single mom. There is this guy, I guess, who grew up with Will and Trey, but now he is into the street, and so he kind of challenged them to this basketball game. And so, a lot of people in the hood respect Will because they see Will got something going for himself. But, there's just a few haters, that's got to, ruffle some feathers, shake the table a little bit. So Will challenges him to a basketball game. They're playing. Will is winning. Will and Trey are winning. Trey already knows how these people are. So Trey put a little piece in his backpack just in case, anything was to pop off. And he told Will about it. Will won't necessarily hear for it, but, Will is used to people in his area, having, a piece on them. So what happened was Will and them start winning. They win the game. The dude who lost threw the ball and hit the main, the OG who was over there, hit him with the ball. They trying to figure out who it is. He thinks it's Will and Trey. He gets up in Will's face. Will swings. Trey, is getting jumped. Will go in Trey backpack, gets the piece, let it go off in the air, and so everybody starts running off, including Trey. So Will gets arrested, and the main OG gets arrested. His name is Rashad, I think. Rashad gets arrested, and so basically Will is in jail. And they don't play in Philly. They law is said to be a little corrupt sometimes, but so what happened is they end up going to jail. Some calls are made. Uncle Phil makes some calls in Philly. Basically gets Will off, Will gets out of jail, and you know, Rashad is still in there. And then Will basically, his mom gets him out. She asks him questions. She's disappointed. She should Will off. So it's literally, picking up from the song, like the intro song from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Because, in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, we were already in Bel-Air. We didn't see what happened in Philly with Will. So it's kind of giving you a little bit of backstory, a little bit. So from here on out, Will meets Jazz. Jazz picks Will up from the airport, takes Will to his aunt and uncle house. Apparently there has been some distance between Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. Not Uncle Phil, Aunt Viv and Vi. And so Will ain't seen they know each other, but they ain't had no interaction in a minute. And you can tell. We meet Jeffrey, we meet Hillary, we meet Ashley, we meet Carlton. Jeffrey is like the muscle of the house. He's considered the house manager. So in this series, Jeffrey is not the butler. He is the house manager. He manages all the affairs of the bank's household. Hillary is a social media influencer. Ashley is a young activist. She has passions in black rights and in LGBTQIA rights. And Carlton plays rugby or lacrosse. It's one of them, because I get them two sports mixed up because I don't know nothing about neither one of them. And I think it's lacrosse. And he is like, I think the president, or he's the SGA president. He got some kind of rank at Bel-Air Academy. So basically nobody knows what Will is there for. They basically just, they tell everybody that Will is there to pursue a better education, but in actuality, Will has gotten himself in some trouble. And so they have a lot of social events at their house. Okay, they have a lot of social events at their house, which I don't know how they don't get tired of all the people being at their house. Uncle Phil is running for DA at this point, So basically, they are on the campaign trail. It's giving Ray Campbell on Sister, like trying to become a senator, but he was trying to become the DA. Aunt Viv is on Hillary about not having a job. She been out of school 2 years. She's still living in the pool house. Aunt Viv want her to get out. Ashley go to Bel-Air Middle School. Carlton has this trifling friend named Connor, who we tired of Connor. I'm tired of Carlton and Connor. Connor is a bad influence on Carlton. He is giving Carlton all kind of street candy. Carlton is on all kind of substances. And, Carlton, but not to, put too much on Carlton, but Carlton battles with himself, his identity, his blackness, coming from an affluent family, coming from a family whose father didn't have anything growing up, because Uncle Phil grew up in a real rural part of North Carolina. And so he basically said he fought for everything. Uncle Phil has his own firm. Aunt Viv is a stay-at-home wife right now, but then Aunt Viv gets back into dabbling into painting because she was an artist when she met Phil, but she gave up artistry in order to support Phil in his endeavors. And so, it's just a lot going on with the family. It's really multifaceted. All in all, Will meets Lisa. Carlton dated Lisa in the past, but Lisa left Carlton for, I guess, being on drugs and hanging around with Connor, because Connor is a bad influence. But now Lisa don't want nothing to do with Carlton, but she know Carlton suffers from a panic disorder. And he has anxiety real bad. And so she kind of is there as like his saving grace for a lot of the times. Hillary moves out. Hillary moves out of the house and goes into the influencer house. She signs a very shiesty contract, which she ends up, wanting to get out of at the end of the season. The dude whose house she's living in, he is in control of all her content, and he actually, puts out some very risque content of her that she filmed, but she never wanted it to be put out. He ends up doing that. Hillary also ends up getting with Jazz during this whole process. She entertaining Jazz. What else? Will is trying to establish his own. He's trying to fit in an environment where he's around a lot of affluent people. Will is from an urban area. He's not used to, the parties and the image and, all this other stuff. He's not used to all of that. He's have a lot of friction with Uncle Phil. Also, Will mentions his father a lot in season 1. We don't know anything about his father. We just know that his mama and daddy are not together. He don't know where his father is. Will is like 17, I think, at the time. Well, he was 16, about to turn 17. And so he's starting to have a lot of questions about his father. And so, it's just a lot. It's a lot. But they keep his whole father situation away from him. Let's see. Will is starting to develop feelings for Lisa. Will and Lisa have been getting close. Lisa comes to find out Lisa's mom was best friends with Aunt Viv. So Aunt Viv was kind of like Lisa's godmama a little bit, but they don't see it for Lisa daddy. Lisa daddy, come to find out, had an affair with the woman who he's currently married to while Lisa mama was sick. Lisa mama ended up passing from lupus. And so, it's a lot. Lisa don't really rock with her stepmama like that, and she feel like her daddy trying to replace her mama and create a whole new family. So Lisa just ain't really here for none of it, really. So she really confides a lot in Will. And it comes to the point where she pretty much asks Will to, like, is there anything about you, like, that I don't know about you? Like, you can tell me anything. Like, we can talk about anything. So Will basically tells Lisa, like, he in Bel-Air to pursue a education. But come to find out, by the end of the season, Lisa daddy decides to run for DA as well because he don't like the platform that Uncle Phil has currently. And so Lisa daddy ends up telling Lisa the real reason why Will is in Bel-Air, and it's because Will had a charge and his daddy got him off. And his uncle got him off, which, he pulled some strings. Basically, it was illegal what Uncle Phil did. He could lose his, his lawyer license and all that other stuff. But they make it hard for Lisa and Will because they tell each other that, because everything's going on, y'all can't really be around each other like that because it's a conflict of interest. But Will and Lisa go back and forth because at this point, they're in love. So, around the same time that Will and Lisa start getting together, Jazz and Hillary start getting together. So it's kind of like both of their relationships going back and forth and bouncing off of each other like that. Will is kind of, taking the Jazz and confiding in Jazz and, basically, they ain't best friends, but like that's his best friend, Bel-Air. All the while, Carlton is not here for Will at all. He thinks that, Uncle Phil is liking Will. Because at first Uncle Phil was not seeing it for Will. He wanted Will to go back to Philly. But as time progressed, Uncle Phil started coming around to Will. Will got involved in basketball. They started going to his games and stuff. Will was a good player. Will was getting attention. All this, that, and is that, right? But now, Carlton, wants to do things with Uncle Phil. But Uncle Phil is not trying. I ain't gonna say Uncle Phil not trying to be there for Carlton. But Carlton just felt slighted. And he was a little jealous. He felt like, in a lot of situations, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil took Will's side and not his. And so he did a lot of, pouting. Not to say I didn't understand Carlton's, his situation. But I just felt like, there was an easier way for Carlton to have gone about all of this. I felt like Will kept it pretty open and 100 with everybody. Will wasn't afraid to speak his mind and tell people how he felt, especially Carlton. And there were times where, like, they would have to basically just come to common ground because they were not getting along. It was times, especially like at the Alpha event, where basically Uncle Phil Bruss felt like he even, had lost sight of what the important thing was with him being in that position of power. Will somehow finessed, Uncle Phil get back in good graces with his bros. And Carlton was just there trying to network to get, an internship because Carlton has his eyes set on going to Princeton. So basically everybody had taken a liking to Will, and attention had got on Will, and so Carlton basically got mad. And so you know, aside from Carlton, Aunt Viv had this, Aunt Viv had some sisters from her sorority who was basically, trying to get her back involved in the arts and whatever, because, Aunt Viv was a very good painter. And so Michael Ealy had a character, what was his name? Reed? I think it was Reed. Reed, this review of season 1 is all over the place. This is literally how I had to process. This is literally how I had to process everything after watching season 1, because I'm just like, what? But anyway, so Reed appears to be a womanizer. Uncle Phil picked up on his tea. Uncle Phil had Jeffrey, again, do all the dirty work and get the background and find out the tea on Reed. Reed is a womanizer, and Uncle Phil is basically, afraid that he's gonna try to get over Aunt Viv, and plus make a move on Aunt Viv, because he been looking like he was, looking at Aunt Viv with the eyes. But Uncle Phil wasn't going for that, so Uncle Phil done showed up at a few places. Uncle Phil done took some bids off the table for Aunt Viv paintings, because Reed was basically trying to, get Aunt Viv work. It was just a whole lot. It was just a whole lot. But shoot, I might well go into season 2. Shoot. So even with season 2, at the end of season 1, actually, before I get to that part, Will was doing so good in basketball that he was on the internet, and so somebody from the hood, I missed a couple things. Somebody from the hood basically showed Rashad where Will was, and Rashad was gonna have some people come out to LA to handle Will, because he told Will he was gonna handle him. But Jeffrey intercepted and found out what was going on in the street, and so basically I believe Jeffrey had somebody paid to off Rashad. This is the way it looked, because all of a sudden Rashad came up and Trey called Will and was like, Rashad has been off. So Will was missing Philly a lot. And so Will had gotten to a point where he would talk about going back to Philly. He wanted to go back to Philly. He begged his mom to go back to Philly. He was like, Bel-Air is not for me. These people are too highfalutin. But then Will started getting used to it, and he started to see the opportunities and the new ways of life. And so he started kind of taking to people in Bel-Air. And so he asked Aunt Viv, if he could bring his friend out. And Will and Trey had been friends since they was like 4, I think. And so while Trey was there, Trey was making all these plans, talk about how he wanted, how things would be when Will come back to West Philly and everything like that. Come to find out, Will was just like, Trey, I don't know if I'm coming back. Trey didn't like that answer. He did not like that answer. Him and Will ended up getting into a kerfuffle, and basically they almost put hands on each other. And then, Trey was like, forget you. And he asked to go back to Philly. So I think Trey was on there really for a day. Then he got online and started trashing Will on Instagram. And so everybody, he made Will paint out to be a snake. He was just like, you act like you too good to go back to Philly. And it won't even none of that. Sometimes you just got to leave the hood. Sometimes in order to have a better opportunity, I know you want to be down for where you from, but sometimes where you from holds a person back. Sometimes people go in their hood and they flourish, but sometimes some people just got to leave the hood in order to flourish. So Trey thought Will went down after that. So basically Trey started dogging Will on the internet. And so basically Will had to go through a friendship breakup. And then, he was separated from his mom. He was just going through. It was a lot of emotions that Will was feeling, on top of partially not being wanted at the house by Carlton and sometimes Uncle Phil. What else happened? Y'all, I think I done talked about everything in season 1. Yeah. Oh. And Carlton. Again, I'm back to Carlton. Y'all, Carlton really had me upset. He really had me a little high. I ain't gonna hold you. But that moment when they was singing that Bobby Shmurda song and Carlton was letting all them slide with saying that word, and then come to find out Connor said something slick to Carlton along the lines of they can't be the best at everything, and they meaning black people. And Carlton on that next play went and put the paws on Connor and broke his arm. I said, oh, well, now you understand what Will was saying. Like, it was a mess, y'all. It was a mess. It was a mess. I was just like, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. It was a mess. But by the end of the season, Will and Lisa was not together no more. Will and Lisa had broke up. You know, I just wish there was a little bit more development in between Will and Lisa. I feel like everything was so fast. The season only had 10 episodes. I know we couldn't, deep dive into everything. But I do feel like for Will and Lisa's relationship, I would have liked a little bit more development with them, because it just seemed like they was friends. They started talking. They had an entanglement. They got together. They loved each other. And then they broke up. And then that was it. And I feel like all that happened in like 5 episodes. So basically, Will and Lisa, all this wasn't even a whole year. Between season 1 and season 2, that was just 1 year of high school. They still got to go through senior year. So then, it poured over into, season 2, which I'm probably going to do a second video because this video is getting long. I would have liked to see more development. I would like to have seen more interaction. There was some interaction between Hillary and Will and Ashley, because Ashley did look up to Will and she liked having Will there. But I would have liked to see a little bit more development between them as cousins, because like they all are around. Well, Will, Carlton, and Hillary are all around the same age. Ashley was 12, I think, at the time. Sorry, y'all. I'm reading my notes to make sure I cover everything. At the end of the season, Will ends up finding out about his father, and he was supposed to meet Lisa. He was supposed to meet Lisa to talk about their relationship, and his daddy ended up finding out. So Jeffrey basically reached out to Lou, who is Will's father, and told Lou that Will had been asking about him. And so Lou showed up at the house one day after Will had left to go to basketball practice. Carlton ended up telling Lou everything. Uncle Phil told Jeffrey not to be involved because he didn't want Will to know anything, but it didn't sit right with Jeffrey. So Jeffrey didn't say nothing. But then Will ended up coming to Jeffrey to basically tell Jeffrey to do some digging on his daddy. Jeffrey gave Will an envelope with all of the information in it, but Will ended up not reading anything because Will didn't know if he was ready to find out about his father. So Will ended up giving the envelope back to Uncle Phil, even though Uncle Phil had told Jeffrey not to do it, and Uncle Phil didn't know anything that Jeffrey did. And so then Uncle Phil and Jeffrey was at odds. And so basically Lou came, Will met Lou. Will and Lou was catching up, but then things went left with Will and Lou, and then Will cussed Lou out, almost got into a fight with Lou. Lou left, and then Will got mad at Aunt Viv, his mama, and Uncle Phil, because basically they made Lou stay away from Will because Lou was in jail. So Lou didn't reach out, or he didn't have no ties with Will. He had no dealings with Will at all. He only had a few memories with Will from Will's childhood. And then after that, it was a wrap. Like, Will left the house. They didn't know where Will went. Carlton hugged Will, ended up sliding Will some money in Will's pocket. And that was that on that, y'all. That's my synopsis of season 1. Ooh, excuse me. That's my synopsis of season 1, y'all. It was a whole lot going on. 10 episodes. You know, they 2 more episodes, we would have been straight for both seasons. 2 more episodes, we just need 2 more episodes in there. We would have been straight. But yeah, so at the end of season 1, we don't know what happened to Will. We don't know where Will is, but Carlton goes to Lisa's house to tell Lisa that Will is missing and that he needs to find Will, because at that point him and Will were on good terms, and that Will had his back to help him, help him manage his anxiety and dibbling and dabbling in substance. So yeah, overall I thought season 1 was good. Season 1 was real good. I was here for the storylines. Everybody acting was top tier. I'm here for Jeffrey. I need to know a little bit more about Jeffrey though, because Jeffrey, we didn't know nothing about Jeffrey. I mean, they kept Jeffrey character like Sherlock Holmes at this point. Like, they kept Jeffrey's character real tight. So I would like to know a little bit more backstory on Jeffrey, which we got a little bit more in season 2, but the way season 2 ended, I don't know if I was satisfied with it. And everything, yeah, Hillary and Jazz were still together, so I feel like it wasn't much development with Hillary and Jazz either. And Aunt Phil and Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, they was going through some stuff. So yeah, y'all, that's it for season 1. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of Bel-Air season 1. And if you saw what I saw, and if I missed anything, put it down below in the comments. And I'll be back with more videos. Deuces.